Mara Alvarez had measured her life in barometers, graphed pressure systems against birthdays, and timed first dates to the minute a thunderhead slipped off the map. She was Halcyon City's most reliable face at 6:22 p.m., the meteorologist who had never missed a call on a hurricane's hook or a blizzard's sting. Her viewers trusted her in that quiet, reflexive way they trusted crosswalk lights and expiration dates. So on the night the weather went missing, people noticed. The teleprompter scrolled its usual litany: high-pressure ridge, chance of drizzle. Yet the words in Mara's mouth tasted foreign. She blinked, heard herself inhale, and felt the studio's halogens pool across her cheeks in that familiar furnace. Then, with the same practiced cadence she used for humidity percentages, she said, "Expect an advancing front of low-grade melancholy tomorrow, peaking at the lunch hour. Commuters may feel an ache behind the eyes. Carry tissues." Nobody cut to commercial. The camera operator froze, as though the lens had developed vertigo. Mara, stomach crawling with electric eels, finished the segment. She spoke of dawn mist translating into nostalgia by mid-morning and a late-afternoon wind advisory for sudden irritability. When the red tally light died, so did her composure. "Did I just have a stroke on live television?" she whispered. Her producer, Jules Tran, flicked a pen. "You were poetic. I was insane." But the damage, or whatever it was, had already seeded the airwaves. The next day, the city behaved like an orchestra following a deranged conductor. At precisely 12:06 p.m., Mara had claimed high melancholy at lunch hour. Office workers went glassy-eyed. Capital Finance, a skyscraper famously immune to anything except quarterly losses, reported productivity plunging 43% while employees refreshed photos of dead goldfish, exes, and beloved grandmas. The subway played unofficial dirges. An accordionist switched from jaunty polka to the saddest minor keys he knew. By evening, Halcyon City had cried itself hoarse. Yet the moment traffic lights ignited dusk in apricot hues, the tears ceased. Commuters sniffed, pocketed tissues, and even shared shy smiles. A few remarked, "Forecasts said it would pass by dinner." Ratings soared. Phone lines clogged with residents asking whether Thursday would be safe for a wedding proposal or if Friday threatened self-loathing. The brass upstairs smelled a phenomenon that could be bottled and sold between detergent ads. They told Mara to return tomorrow with more of that emotional Doppler. She tried to refuse. She printed old satellite images and highlighted occluded fronts, hoping to anchor herself to science. But when the cameras blinked awake, meteorology slid from her tongue like melted ice, and language swelled in its place. Language about feelings as palpable as hailstones. "Overnight, we'll see pockets of reckless joy," she announced. "Expect spontaneous dancing in Park Districts 1 through 5. Caution on stairwells." Park Districts 1 through 5 erupted in conga lines at 2 a.m. 4 people sprained ankles on stairwells as foretold. On day 3, Mara tried an experiment. She mapped the city into microzones and assigned each a subtle variant. Wistfulness in Midtown, confidence downtown, intrigue in the art quarter. By mid-morning, cafes in Midtown brimmed with customers staring into lattes as if it's sepia snapshots. Downtown, executives negotiated mergers with gutsy handshakes. In the art quarter, strangers locked eyes across bus stops, certain their meet cute had been preordained. Results poured into the station. Social media sentiment graphs, wearable mood tracker data, even emergency room stats on endorphin spikes. The correlation was bulletproof. Mara wasn't reading feelings. She was dictating them. That afternoon, she locked herself in the graphics closet and vomited into a recycle bin. Enter Dr. Nalini Verma, professor of neurosociology, summoned by Jules to certify the circus. Nalini placed Mara under a swirl of fMRI scans, polygraph pads, and word association tests. The verdict was neither medical nor mystical. "You're a tuning fork," Nalini said. You strike the collective unconscious, and it vibrates to match. That isn't a verdict, Mara muttered. That's an allegory. But allegory with data. Nalini slid a graph forward. Spikes in cortisol, serotonin, dopamine citywide, plotted against the timestamps of Mara's phrases. You have causal authority. Intent appears irrelevant. Articulation is enough. So if I say nothing? We can test, Nalini offered, brow raised. Management refused. Halcyon Channel 12 had just beaten the national syndicate in prime-time share for the first time since 1998. Silence, from their perspective, cost money. The mayor noticed next. Leonora Pike was a pragmatist with re-election jitters and an allergy to bad optics. She invited Mara to City Hall, poured fair trade coffee, and smiled as though prepping to adopt a puppy. We have protests scheduled, the mayor said, sliding a file across the desk. Body cam scandals, budget cuts, pension freezes. Imagine if the crowd felt euphoric instead of furious. Mara's stomach folded like wet cardboard. You want me to tranquilize them with vocabulary? Not tranquilize, Pike chirped. Inspire. Mara walked out. Cameras flashed. Headlines the next morning asked whether the moodcaster would bless or doom the city. She had become, overnight, a secular deity nobody had voted for. All deities attract worshippers and saboteurs. Anonymous letters arrived begging her to declare nationwide peace, end depression, solve climate change via universal optimism. Others demanded she stop playing God before someone jumped off a bridge in a manic high. The question sat on her pillow at night, to speak or not to speak. Either choice rewrote 1.8 million heartbeats. She managed 1 week juggling ethics and employment. She crafted forecasts balanced like diets. A drizzle of giddiness, a dash of introspection, a grounding blanket of calm. City metrics stabilized. Emergency services reported fewer extremes. Mental health hotlines saw a gentle slope downward, but ratings plateaued. Viewers grew impatient. People crave novelty even in cheer. Jules delivered the numbers in a white envelope like a diagnosis. Stasis bores them, he said gently. They'll wander to other channels and to meteorologists who talk about actual cumulus clouds. Maybe they should, Mara said. He swallowed. The board disagrees. Pressure built behind her ribs. The next evening she stepped into the studio, lens glaring like an unblinking sun. Something broke. Tomorrow, she announced. A collision of emotional air masses will produce isolated storms of rage, possibly escalating to a citywide typhoon by dusk. Barricade your temper. Objects may be hurled. She regretted it before the final consonant left her lips. But regret couldn't outrun radio waves. Halcyon City ignited. Office chairs shattered windows. Couples screamed divorce papers. Street fights multiplied. The protests Mayor Pike had feared swelled tenfold, now wreathed in Molotov fury. At 10:18 p.m., a hardware store burned, sirens harmonizing with crackling timber. Mara watched coverage from her sofa, remote clutched like a crucifix. Each explosion felt like a new organ rupturing in her chest. She called the station, begged Jules to replace tomorrow's forecast with a rerun. He said the board was already on a conference call with the mayor, who wanted her arrested for incitement. She didn't sleep. Birds began their 5 a.m. chorus against a backdrop of smoke plumes. At 6, she walked the 8 blocks to the studio, stepping over broken glass that glittered like malignant snow. Nobody tried to stop her. Inside, she bypassed makeup, teleprompter, and even Jules's pleading eyes. She marched onto the set, heart hammering double time, and faced the camera that had transformed her mouth into a lever for human weather. The crew, drawn by some gravitational confession, clustered behind monitors. The red light ignited. She inhaled. That inhale held all her years of forecasting fronts that refused to obey, all her childlike awe at thunder, her adult reverence for pattern, her bone-deep love for the city that now bled anger across its streets. Then she spoke. I rescind my previous forecast. Behind the glass, Jules gasped. The teleprompter remained blank. She did not need words fed to her. Halcyon City, she said, voice raw. Your sky is your own. She closed her eyes, feeling the trickle of something intangible unfasten. No prediction today. No script. Feel what you feel, moment to moment. It may rain sorrow or blaze delight, but the weather in your chest belongs to you, not to me. Silence pooled like fresh snow. She expected security to haul her off. Instead, the cameraman kept rolling. She continued, softer now. I was a scientist who became a sorcerer by accident. Sorcery frightens me, and it should frighten you, so I am releasing it. If tomorrow my words still bend emotions, switch off the television, turn me into white noise. Give yourself back to yourself. She stepped off set. The red light dimmed. Nobody arrested her. Mayor Pike's office released a statement blaming rumors and pre-existing social tensions for last night's violence. Channel 12 announced Mara was on sabbatical to pursue advanced research. Halcyon woke into a gray morning humming with aftershocks. Arguments still simmered, but no fresh fury erupted. Mood trackers plotted human weather drifting into normal statistical randomness. City scientists called it regression toward the mean. Poets called it breathing. 3 days later, Jules visited Mara's apartment. He expected curtains drawn and tears. Instead, he found her on the balcony, notebook in hand, charting real clouds, alto stratus sheets gliding east. Thought you'd quit the sky business, he joked. I quit puppeteering, she replied. Not observation. He offered her a manila envelope. Station wants you back, normal weather only. Ratings are tanking. Mara traced a cloud bank with her pen. Did you know almost nobody memorizes our actual 5-day forecast? They remember how I sounded. But the sky doesn't care for theatrics. Is that a no? It's a maybe, under conditions. Total editorial independence. If I feel my words tug the city again, I walk. Jules exhaled relief. They'll sign blood if they must. You're still a brand. Brands are for cattle, she said, half smiling. I'm going back to being a barometer. Her return was a quiet Tuesday with ratings in free fall. The teleprompter displayed temperatures, dew points, wind speeds. The production team watched her mouth like hostages watching ransom numbers dialed. She spoke. High of 76 tomorrow. Light breeze from the northwest. Chance of scattered showers after 3 p.m. Plain, clinical, beautiful in its restraint. Analysts reported no statistical anomaly in city mood. A few viewers complained the segment felt cold, but most accepted the calm like a long-denied sip of water. Still, Mara couldn't forget the tuning fork inside her. It hummed faintly, as though waiting for permission to sing. She resolved never to give that permission. Instead, she poured her gift into small, surgical acts of kindness. Off air, sitting with a grieving mother in a hospital lobby, she said a single sentence about gentle dawns, and the woman exhaled pain just slightly. Reading to kids in a shelter, she modulated her tone so laughter bubbled up like soda. She learned that influence is safest when it begins and ends within arm's reach. Months passed. Halcyon endured real thunderstorms, a blistering heat wave, a red-leaf autumn of ordinary anxious bustle. Nobody traced their smiles to a broadcast. But sometimes, on her balcony at twilight, Mara whispered to the horizon. Not prophecies, not commands, just descriptions of the sky's honest moods. The bruise-purple sadness of clouds heavy with night, the sudden ecstasy of a sun flare kissing high windows. She spoke in a language the wind could keep without passing onward. And in those moments she felt aligned with the weather again, neither goddess nor hostage. Simply a woman fluent in atmospheres, mindful that every sentence is a barometer capable of rising, falling, or bursting glass. One evening, Nalini Verma joined her to watch a meteor shower. Streaks of magnesium fire stitched across the firmament. Nalini asked, "Do you ever miss it, the power?" Mara considered. "I miss the certainty, not the power." Certainty is overrated, Nalini said. A meteor flared overhead, brief as a pulse. Uncertainty leaves room for agency. Mara smiled, lifting her mug to the sky's temperamental canvas. Somewhere below, Halcyon City breathed according to its own forecasts. Grim, radiant, messy forecasts that changed block by block, heart by heart. And that, she decided, was the most accurate weather report anyone could hope for.